Dosers, top of the morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Jereme Kleven here, joined by the Magic Man, Mr. Mark Hutchins, and the beast behind the glass, Mr. Byron Filson.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you pale in comparison, literally and figuratively. You get a nice tan going. We are joined with a special guest, back for round 2. Mr. Brian North.
Round 2.
Actually,
what's
round
up?
3, because we did round 2 on stage live.
Wow, technicality. Wow, Mark, well done.
We only have 9 more rounds
Sometimes
until it's a championship fight,
right?
You know that?
I have small moments of greatness, and today is one of them.
It's true.
Unless we knock them out in the 3rd round, and then I don't get to come back. You know what I mean? So
That's true. Well played. So you joined us, for the first time, maybe, I don't know, 8-9 months ago?
9 months ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man, it was intimidating. This feels a lot better. After
You're
being
more
on stage in front of 800 of our friends with a billionaire next to us, this feels a little bit better.
A little easier.
Yeah.
Easy breezy.
Yeah.
It's just us and that cuddly little fella, Byron, back there.
Yeah. He is quite
Who looks very rich today.
Yeah.
Looks very rich today. Yes, he does.
So technically round 2 in the studio, round 3 if you count the November event, which we're all partnered with, and Miss Stephanie Gonzalez, who's in the room. We got to give her a shout out.
Hi,
What a tremendous event that was, right? And we're already talking about getting the next one on the books.
Oh,
let's talk about it, Stephanie.
Stephanie, we moved the date up to March. Right?
It's March 11th.
Yep, that's it.
Congratulations.
So obviously for the listeners out there, if you guys haven't heard, Brian's first series, that when he's on the dose, go back on SoundCloud because it's one of the best. I mean, I've pushed it out to a whole bunch of people. It's a fantastic series.
Great
and we're gonna,
story.
Yeah.
It's one of the best stories we've heard on here.
Right. Yep. You really dove into your story, the background, what led you into the business, but just a lot of the things that you're doing and speaking on were just a lot of high level discussion. So, congrats or shout out to you on that.
I appreciate it.
And, there's not a lot of people out there that we have back for round 2, but you're definitely one of the good guys in the industry and definitely somebody we have some synergy with. Obviously, we rolled out the November event together and we're going to do it again. We all come from a space of contribution,
goodwill,
wanting the entire marketplace to get better. So, thanks for rolling back for round 2.5.
No doubt. You guys know I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the dose, so I know who's been on here for round 2. So it feels good to be in the chair for sure.
There
feels
you go.
good to be a champion, doesn't it?
You got it.
It's good to be a champion.
Yeah.
And might I put out there too, in such a short period of time, because I know you mentioned when you first got into it. So guys, like Jereme said, go back to SoundCloud.com. Just type in the Daily Dose, My Home Group Daily Dose. Type in Brian North. Listen to his whole series. You're just really going to love it. But from 2011 really till today is where you talk to us and the rest of the real estate community like somebody's been doing it for 27 years. So to me, that's impressive.
Thank you, man.
And in fact, better than most.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, you guys know you have to remain a student of the game, and I think that's probably the thing that keeps me going at the clip that I go is I just have an insatiable drive to learn. You know what I mean? And most of mine, I listen to. Joshua Smith, obviously, he was a big hit at the November event, and I'm sure he's listening. What up, my man? And his commitment to reading and his commitment to coaches, the education that he seeks out. And so much of what I do is I talk I teach the agents at the brokerage, and I focus so much on kind of that intuitive learning, which is, when you're in the field, right? I'm just constantly processing and filtering and filing all of the things that we need when we're in the marketplace so that I can take back real-time stuff to the agents from a tactical level, which helps us all get better. And then the real awesome part is they all come back to me and tell me how it worked or didn't work so I can tweak it. So it's pretty fun that way.
I love it, man.
Yeah. So how are you dividing up your time right now? Because obviously you're, one of the top producers in the marketplace from your, your team, your specific team, but then obviously a brokerage on the brokerage level as well. How do you divide the time?
Yeah, I think right now I would tell you I am 70% producer, 20% brokerage, and probably 10% team, if that makes sense. So that 70% really is my personal production. It's interesting though, because that 70% personal production comes back to the brokerage in concentrate, if that makes sense. Sure. So I take everything I'm doing in the field on a regular basis and bring that back to the brokerage and concentrate in snips. And Stephanie does an awesome job of helping me either find other agents in the brokerage who have duplicated what it is I've brought to the community and teach that. So it's it's offering me more time back to be able to produce as an individual agent, or there's these really sexy hot topics that, you know, she feels I'm bringing some component to the brokerage that's real time that I can teach. And then with the advent of some technology, we have started integrating some live stream stuff into the brokerage as well, which gives you the opportunity to, record it and then get that back out to the brokerage. So
are you Facebook? Are you doing the Facebook Live yet?
I'm not. Mostly we're doing Meerkat. And I got to tell you,
you like that?
I don't know why. I don't know.
You just chose it.
Look, all I know, you know I did? No,
it.
honestly, you know I did because at one point Gary Vaynerchuk said I should. You know what I mean? I saw Gary V talk about Meerkat one time.
Meerkat?
Meerkat.com. Yeah, it's just an app. You go download the Meerkat app.
The reason we ask is because it's so. I think it's beautiful for masterminding. It's for classes, and a lot of times people can't show because we're going to start doing it too on a larger scale because you see a lot of people. You know, we watch Grant Cardone, all those guys live stream, and if you watch the count of people coming on, they just come on at their leisure, right? And it records too. So that's beautiful. You're
you know, the other cool part about it is so even on a brokerage level, this was one of the first times that we did it where we really were announcing to the brokerage, like, hey, we're teaching a class on whatever, announce to the brokerage and let the brokerage know what's all happening. And so many of our agents who couldn't make it for one reason or another logged into it at home. And we were getting this flood of text messages back to us from our agents going, that was so sick that I couldn't be at the class, but I got to be at the class. You know, I was in a doctor's waiting room, you know, waiting for my appointment. And I got to be a part of the class. Oh, the content was sick. And then the next thing for us is they can interact. So they can tweet, they can ask questions, they can do whatever they want to do through an interactive. So that's our next kind of little growth pattern is integrating how they can interact from the doctor's office silently through asking a question, and we can have real-time Q&A whether you're in the room or not based on the topic at hand in the class. So that stuff has allowed me to duplicate my efforts and free up more time for me to focus on, you know, the personal production. And it's not so much a revenue driver, you know, like, oh, I go focus this much time because it's where more revenue is or whatever. It really is about the combination of yes, revenue, but also, you know, for our culture, it's such a top-down teaching strategy where, you know, I am bringing real-life practice into the field, and it's just a constant collaboration, as you guys know.
Yeah, you're active, involved, and engaged, right? Yeah, we're trying to keep our hands in the pot too. We don't do, you know, we're not nowhere near your production, but I mean, we do a few deals here and there just to keep the feet wet, just to negotiate some deals, stay current, right?
I only do 4 or 5 million and up.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it.
I don't have time.
That's called work smarter, not harder, my friend. No one's hating, I promise. Yeah. The good thing is you did 10 of them, so you're in good shape. You know?
Hey, we were offline before we started the show. You'd mentioned Candor.
Yep.
I want to talk about that because I think it's you were kind of going into it, and we kind of stopped and said let's save it for the show. Yep. Share the example in which we kind of used in regards to the seller pricing and all that good stuff, because I think right now it'll give some confidence to everybody out there going into a listing presentation, so they can go in there with a right hook and really deliver a punch as opposed to like being scared and not confident.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, these guys were asked, what's hot topic in the market? What are you guys talking about right now? What's happening? What are you working on? And I brought up this topic of candor. And what we do, you know, throughout is we're constantly paying attention to themes in the office, right? We're overhearing conversations in the office. And what are those common themes? Like I've said the same thing to 4 or 5 different agents 5 times this week. This is a theme. This is something we need to talk about that's very real time in the marketplace. And so I'm going to give you a different example than what we talked about earlier, because that's kind of a finessey, crazy seller. I think it's the only crazy seller in town, but there's kind of a crazy seller where I'm going to give you, this is an example, an agent that's been with us only 1 year. So he's very much learning the business, but he's having really, really good success. And he's predominantly doing open houses like a madman. That's all he's doing. Open houses. This is a kid, by the way. I know he's going to be listening. So
plug his name.
Zach Hawker is his name. And so Zach has been in the business with us. He's been in about a year and a half with us, a little less than a year. And he was selling gym memberships part-time while he was getting his feet wet in real estate.
Jereme did
and
that.
He came on board. He came on board and he asked us, what should we do? What should I do first? And I said, well, you should just come out of the gates blazing. How much time do you have? He goes, I'll do anything. I said, great. Do 30 open houses in 30 days.
Yes.
So he came back to us with his goal plan and he said, I'm going to do 40. Okay. So he had to do two. He had to do 2 a days, right? And I said, okay. He did 36 open houses in 30 days. Okay. Wow. So guess what he had at the end of 30 days? He had a pipeline.
Like
he had a pipeline.
Big one, I bet.
Okay? He had a really good pipeline, and he's just been off and running the whole way. So we cheat with him as an ambassador to our community because a new agent can resonate with him, right?
Yep.
So he calls me, and he's one of those guys. I know you love when your phone's ringing and he's on the other end of the phone because there's a deal, right?
He's positive.
He's only calling for one reason. It's an opportunity to make some loot, right? That's it. And he's got a challenge and he's looking for coaching. And the better part is he's one of those people that, if you give him the coaching, he's going to go do it exactly like you told him to do it. And then he's going to come back and go, dude, you're a hero. And I'm going to go, no, I'm not. I just gave you the stuff and you went and did it, right? So, and he's just one of those, he's a great kid. So he came to me and he said, hey, so I've been on 3 listing appointments in the last 4 days, okay, all from open houses. I hope everybody hears that that's listening out there.
I know. You heard from Brian. Now it's not like you mom and dad talking with Jeremy and I always saying it. Now you're hearing it like it is for real.
A guy in the business, less than 1 year with us, 3 listing opportunities from open houses. All right. So he comes to me, he goes, but I am stuck. I said, what do you mean you're stuck? He goes, well, most of the listing opportunities I've gotten so far in my career have been referrals. So they're warm leads. I show up, there's already some level of rapport. Right, I sit down with them. And we're, I work through, he's a pro. I mean, he really likes, he's analytical and he does his numbers and his listing presentation. But it's easy for him because there's a lot less of that confrontational objection. So then he said, these 3 have the same exact thing. I get all the way through my list. They said to me, come to my house. We want to talk about listing. I sit down, I go through my listing presentation, and we get to a point in the conversation where they go, hey, we would sell if you would bring a buyer. We've never heard this before. Okay?
Ooh, okay.
We would sell if you would bring a buyer. We're just not ready to list yet. We don't want to deal with the foot traffic and the people coming through our house. But thanks for coming by. And we got to go out and find something first. Just cliche after cliche after cliche. But he's so new to the business that he's like, hey, this is the first time I've had to deal with this. It's these people fell out of an alien UFO and were speaking a different language to him. So for me, I said to him, well, here's the first thing about candor. I said, Zach, you're at a point with these people that you have to remember you are the professional, right? So many of us lack the confidence because a listing is so hard to obtain. A listing presentation, the opportunity to get one is like this big crescendo that when you get to the point and they start pounding you, you go, okay, I'll do it. I can do it. Yes, I will. I will do it. I swear I can do it. I can do it. And you walk out and you go, I'm never going to sell that house, but I had to say I would do it because that's the only way I was going to get the listing. Right? Yep. So I said to Zach, this is your opportunity where you go, hey, I really appreciate everything that you have shared with me. However, this is how it really goes. Right. And he was like, really? You would say that? And I go, just like that. Yeah. And what I didn't say, and I said, I'm going to stop there for a second. I said, Zach, here's what I want you to do. This is your goal. I said, you are the nicest guy ever. Like you physically will not allow yourself to say anything that is going to jeopardize the relationship. You just won't say anything bad enough. So I want you to push it to like the border, like whatever the hardest, harshest, most uncomfortable thing that you think you can say is, I want you to push to that place and then see what happens. Because here's your option. Your option is you're going to try and you're going to lose, or you're not going to try and you're going to lose. Right. Okay. That's it. So I want you to push to a level of candor. And by the way, his idea of how he was going to get them to transact on the listing side with him was he was going to get him in the car, take him out and show him homes until he was blue in the face, get them to get emotional about something, and then get them to take the listing. And I was like, okay, like that might work some of the time. I said, but what if you could actually get them to list their house and you get it in escrow and then you get leverage when you go to write them an offer? So I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to tell them, no, this is how it goes. Now, I gave him an analogy and I said, what you're asking me to do is like asking a builder to frame your house with a pile of nails on the ground and a stapler as a hammer, right? Like my tool belt as an agent is Zillow and Realtor.com and all of these utilities that we have to be able to market your property. MLS. Whoa. Right. And there's 30,000 agents out there I can market to. You're asking me to not use all of those tools I have to market your home, like a hammer and a saw and some nails and a tool belt and go and build you a house. Instead, you're going, here's a pile of nails and a stapler, go frame my house for me. So now tell them I need the tools to go and do it. It's going to take this much time and I'll have the advantage of getting you this much more in price. Long story short, he comes to us and says, I had 3 listing appointments. 2 of them I didn't get, right? I didn't. And we're going, hey, how can we help you regain those back in? But the third one, I literally did exactly what you told me to do. And at the end, they said, we really appreciate it. We want to sleep on it. But better yet, we do want to go look at some houses tomorrow. He said, great. So they got in the car. They went out and looked at some houses. They looked at homes. I think he said they saw a half dozen or so homes. And in the last house, they said to him, hey, we really, really appreciate your willingness to go out and show us homes. The rapport that we've built just in a couple of days is amazing. Rapport was really big for him because we teach the importance of rapport in every single process. And he goes, and the second thing that he said was, we've met with several other agents and your level of candor was so important that it's gotten us to a point where we totally know what we need to do now and we're ready to go to work. Right. And he was like, it was so crazy. I had the chills. Like they said rapport and candor, which are like the two words that we were preaching. And literally he just took what we did. He went out. He's like, I didn't say anything mean. And his interpretation was that we forget we're the professional and they don't know. And if you just grab them and you go, no, this is how we go do it. And let me show you why, you get to the finish line.
That's good stuff. I mean, people need to be led, right? I mean, to a degree, people need to be led. It's the same thing when you go to the doctor's office or whatever. They don't ask you what to do. They tell you, well, this is what we're going to do, right? Sure. Yeah. I am the professional.
Yeah.
So where should I make this incision?
Totally. And you know what I did say to him? Because we brought up some of those examples, right? And the difference in our business. So why is it different? The difference is because we are salespeople and people don't want to be sold. Right. So, hey, so I said to him, when they said to you, hey, I'm not ready to list my house, but we would sell if you brought a buyer. So ask them a question. Did I just hear you say you're ready to sell? Yes, if you bring a buyer. So then why don't you want to list if you're ready to sell? And the reason is they don't want to be sold, right? They don't want to be sold something. So when you get to the place where you've built enough rapport that there's a trust level, the I've been sold on something goes away. And usually that happens when you grab them and you're candid with them. It creates a level of trust that you're not trying to push or sell them into something. You're really being straightforward with them about the reality of the situation, at which point then they want to go because they trust.
I don't want to stay on this topic, but we're going to stop for today because we're a little over. But you guys, you heard it. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I.
That comes from. We've been rehearsing that.
Yeah, we haven't heard that. Tune in tomorrow because I really want to get into this because I got a couple stories, and I think you said one before I want to hear. Guys, Real Estate Survival Guide is today at 3 o'clock at Maggiano's. And we have a former panelist right here, Mr. Brian North, who laid down some.
That was a good one.
Awesome
topic. 2 sessions.
You guys go. That was awesome.
Yeah, please go. Please show up. Come one, come all. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.
See ya.
See ya.
He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe is there.